Today's March 21st, Tuesday, 2017. Hey, John, man, can't bring your laptop back from Dubai. Not Dubai, one of the 7 countries on there that ban restrictions.
Yeah, that's as you said, Andrew, you can't travel with beyond just a cell phone from several countries coming directly into the United States. And I do agree with you. That's kind of interesting and scary. More or less a ban of large electronic devices like laptops, computers, and things like that. And I think a lot of folks who do travel internationally and who may have, legitimate reasons to be traveling from places that are within this ban aren't going to want to give up that device and put it in the hold, because a lot of times they get wiped.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard a lot of my Twitter friends say, that they've had devices wiped. I don't mean stolen or broken. I mean wiped. Everything on the laptop gone.
Why? Because it's in the hold?
Yeah. And I love now that they're trying to say that this is a Trump ban.
I can go either way on this, John.
Please do.
Sit there. Oh, okay. My first thing is stop making shit that blows up on planes, right? That's the bottom line. You make that, you put it in a laptop, and you blow something up, which we've seen twice now, 3 times I can think of, but they never talk about in Egypt, where all of a sudden something just blows up, So
this only applies to nonstop flights to the U.S. from 10 foreign airports.
Whatever.
So they're obviously concerned about these airports, and I don't think they're concerned that the laptops are going to blow, Andrew. As far as battery fires, I think they're concerned that the laptop isn't really a laptop.
Exactly. So, yeah, I can understand that. Maybe, who knows. And then the other thing is, and then in my tinfoil hat that I love to wear, as you know, is what's next? Will they, remember how they make everybody take off their shoes? I mean, what's coming next? If it's good enough to ban them from those countries, why wouldn't they ban it from Chicago to, to New York, where the flights you take? If it's
right.
Good for the
and I think the answer to that is, drum roll, please. I think the answer to that is that the surveillance techniques at these airports, as well as the checks on these laptops, is just not up to our standards. And I can vouch for that, Andrew, having traveled a lot internationally. I have seen, and in fact even had my wife accidentally have something like a bottle of wine or a bottle of water or whatever it might be in her bag. They find it in some of these foreign airports, in particular in the Middle East. They find it, take it out, say, "Oh, you can't travel with this." "Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was in there." "Oh, that's okay, honey, just don't do it next time." And they give it to you. It's like the craziest thing, and I'm sitting there going,
really?
No, that's not how this is supposed to work, you see. You find it, you're supposed to say you got to dump it out, or you got to, throw it away. You can't give it back to the person just because you found it in their bag. But I've seen that. And if they're that lax with something like that, do they make the person boot up the computer and show you that the computer really, works? Because in a lot of cases, they wouldn't let you fly through certain airports if the computer wouldn't boot up. You could say, "Well, my battery's dead, it won't boot up." Can't bring it then.
They need, they need somebody needs to invent something. Whether
I agree.
I don't know what it is that has to be invented, where there's a separate hold for computers. And I don't know. It's so stupid. Anyway, so everybody's complaining about the market being down today. I don't see it in the VIX. I see the VIX up, but I don't see any of that panic that everybody's talking about. I think it's just
because there isn't any, is the simple truth. I mean, to your point, Andrew, here's the VIX, folks. The VIX is a wide constellation of readings of at-the-money and in-the-money calls and puts in the S&P 500, okay?
Yep.
Then you've got VIX futures. So the 1 month out VIX futures are only up 45 cents. The spot VIX, which takes what's going on right now, this second, in the options, is 1250. The 1 month out is 1260. We're practically going into an inversion here. The 2 month out doesn't really trade today, and the 3 month out is 1355. None of these readings are as even high as we were earlier this year when we were in January up over 14 in the actual VIX.
So the correct term is backwardation, I think, right?
Yep, we're not in backwardation, but we have changed the curve because of this one-day move. But just as Andrew's work with the VIX Sonar report shows, there is not this panic buying yet. Now, if we're down 250, could there be panic buying? Yep. But it hasn't reared its ugly head yet.
Okay, and expiration is tomorrow, Wednesday.
Yep.
So
a lot of folks that are getting squeezed because tomorrow is a VIX expiration. Again, if you guys would subscribe and watch the VIX Sonar report that Andrew does virtually every day, you'd know that that's an expiration tomorrow. We never even get to trade it. It just cashes out at the opening of the S&P 500 once they have done the calculation, because as I say, it's not just one strike. It is many, many, many strikes, calls and puts, in the money and out of the money.
The Edumacation podcast. We were going to talk about something else. We got 2 for 1 on this one. We were going to talk about the selling of puts. You said you wanted to cover that.
Yeah, well, I'd say over at Investitute, what we've seen the most of today, Andrew, is put selling. Because normally we see either call buying or put buying, and we report that because many times that leads us into a winning trade. Somebody buys a whole bunch of upside calls and the stock gets taken over. Doesn't happen every time, but it happens sometimes. And somebody's usually pretty informed if they're buying 20 or 30,000 calls or 20 or 30,000 puts. Today, we don't see much in the way of upside call speculation, but I'm seeing a ton of puts being sold. How do I know they're sold? Because there's a bid and an offer. And if they're trading on the bid, we know they're selling. If they're trading on the bid and or selling through the bid, we say that's somebody selling that thinks they are willing to buy the stock at a lower price, or if it doesn't get to that lower price, they get to keep the premium. That's the basic description of what goes on when people sell puts. You become Warren Buffett. You become the insurance company. And there's a lot of big traders right now doing that. In Dick's Sporting Goods, for instance, selling the April 44 puts.
DICK.
Yep, DKS.
DKS, I'm sorry.
Yeah, DKS. And ATVI, selling April 48 puts. In, let's see, Urban Outfitters, URBN, selling April 21 puts with the stock at 22.50. So in other words, these are all people across the board that are selling out of the money puts, which obligates them to buy at a lower price if indeed the puts go in the money and stay in the money, or they get to keep that premium that they collected because they're basically being the insurance company for somebody else. They're insuring their bet.
Not off topic, but how about those Apple upgrades or upgrade?
How about them? Yeah, we had Tony Saganaki on the halftime show. Tony's he's the number 1 ranked analyst for Apple, and he says a lot more upside. You still haven't priced in the repatriation of the $230 billion they've got overseas. He says he thinks that's the big, huge driver in addition to the iPhone 8 upgrade cycle. And they just came out with a new iPad today, right, Andrew?
Yeah, they're aggressively pricing them, too, the old ones. I was looking at those for my kid.
Yeah, and they're putting these at, let's see, they're the pricing this one, the Wi-Fi version of the newest iPad. They're dropping the iPad Air, and they're just coming out with the new one that's $329, I think, for Wi-Fi, maybe $449 for the cellular connection one. So Apple.
My last.
And we traded 1.3 million contracts in Apple yesterday.
I know, I saw that
on the call side alone.
Yeah, funny, and then all of a sudden they come out with an upgrade today. See how that works?
Funny how that works, huh?
Hey, you know what my last entry into Apple when I bought it last time?
Yes, I do.
What was it? Remember?
112?
No. 89.
Beneath 100?
Oh, yeah, 89.
Oh, my gosh.
And the reason
now it's at 140.
Yeah, and I bought it at 89 just because I was.
I thought you were adding to it at 112, but wow.
I added to it at 89. I bought it before.
That's what I mean.
The first time I bought it at 84 because that was the split, and then it went up and down, whatever, and then everyone started hating on it, and I'm like in this Taylor Swift kick, right? And she had that album 1989, right? And I'm like, okay, fine, I'm gonna buy some more at 89. And I did, just because of Taylor Swift. Thank you. I'm just waiting for a new album to come out. I hope her new album's called, like, 150. Maybe she needs an album called, like, 130 or something.
Well, don't forget, folks, if you'd been listening to the podcast, you also heard Andrew talking about Apple in the 600s, Andrew.
When?
In the 600s, didn't you make that call? It's going to 1,000?
Yeah. Well, that was pre-split, right?
Amazon. I might have misspoke.
Amazon.
I might have said Apple. I meant Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
Amazon.
It took me a while
Sorry.
to get there, though. And
My fault, folks.
I did buy that. And I sold it too early, but where's it at right now? Ooh, 846. Yeah, that's going to 1,000. For no other reason than it can. That's my prediction. That's how I trade. Just
tell you what else you can do, folks. You can subscribe through either iTunes or YouTube to these podcasts. Get them every day we do them, as well as, of course, the other podcasts or the other videos, which are, the VIX sonar report that we talked about. So check that out.